Awaken to hair growth. Awaken to hair growth because there is possibility to get your hair back. Awaken to hair growth because we're not told that we're able to conquer and overcome alopecia. Awaken to hair growth because I want to be a positive light and beacon for you because I've healed my alopecia and now I help others do the same with different types of alopecia, men, women, children of all ages, of all races and ethnicities. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Alopecia Angel podcast. I am your host, Johanna Dolman, and today we are going to be talking about the one thing that will inhibit you from getting the results you want, from getting the hair growth, from getting the health that you want, and it's denial. And you might be a little bit confused of why denial? And many times denial happens in many areas. Denial happens when I go over with new clients their blind spots, and I tell them exactly what blind spots they have and what this could be. And a lot of times they're in denial. They're like, really? This is me? And I'm like, yes. And so first you have that initial shock of the denial. And then sometimes, most of the time, you get the courage, just like problem solving. You have the problem, and then it's just, one more thing we have to move into to rectify so that we can continue to see hair growth and health emerge. And many times I see this on a day-to-day basis too. The other day I was at a store, and this store had little food samples all over, sprinkled all over the store with new, foods and new packaged foods primarily of what they were trying to sell you. And as I'm curious enough to see what people are selling and what people are buying and eating, I'm looking at the package and I'm reading the ingredients. The ingredients, first and foremost, are very hidden on this package. And I'm looking closely, and you have the sales lady who's serving you the little piece of packaged food. And then you have, just another consumer next to her. And the lady who's the consumer as well, she's like, I'm on a high inflammatory diet and these are very healthy for you. I love these. I would buy them, da, 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 da. And she keeps, giving me her testimonial on these foods, on this packaged food. And when I start looking at the ingredients of the package, I start seeing that out of the 4 ingredients, 2 are sugar. It doesn't matter how you want to dress up sugar, or how you want to dress up a pig. A pig is still a pig. Even if you put a tutu on it and some lipstick and a wig, it's still a pig. In this case, sugar is still sugar, and sugar causes inflammation, causes disease, and causes so many ailments. And having a processed sugar diet on a consistent basis or eating packaged foods, that's what you get, right? And so in this case, this lady was completely in denial. When I started giving her a lot of the information I like to provide to people as knowledge, she looked at me in a very dumbfounded way. She looked at me as if she couldn't believe what I was telling her. She looked at me as if she was in denial. And the thing is, a lot of times we are so entrenched in our comfort zone. We are so entrenched in how we live, how we want to live, on the convenience of things, where we don't want to believe what others are saying, because that means that we are forced to make a change. We're forced to do something about it. We are forced to potentially give it up. And I will say that during my time with alopecia, I also had blind spots, numerous blind spots. And with some, I charged head on and I cleared them up and moved forward into the hair growth. With others, I was in denial. With others, I was, no, this can't be it. This can't be it. And I was so far-fetched into denial that I didn't want to let go. I didn't want to let go of certain things. I didn't want to let go of certain foods. I didn't want to let go, because I knew what that would mean. I would have to compromise or sacrifice certain things that I like or enjoy or love in order to get what I wanted, in order to get the health and the hair growth. And now, 8 years later, as I find myself with full hair, not having to worry about it, there's always going to be more and more blind spots as you want to up level, as you want to get better, as you want to be your best self. And in this case, for me, it's about being the healthiest mind, body, spirit, being the healthiest, and yes, in terms of hair, but then also, brain function, also energy, also anti-aging, also fertility, also all these other things, right? Because as your life evolves, your concerns for health and hair, your concerns for growth, your concerns for development will change. Your concerns for your overall performance will change. And I absolutely admire women who up-level themselves on a consistent basis because it shows. So for example, yesterday I went to a yoga class, and granted, with all this moving that I've been doing, this has been my first official in-person yoga class since before COVID. So it's been a while. I got caught in the trap between living in Europe and in the US with COVID. And then when I moved to Japan, they were still under COVID, lockdown, so to speak, wearing masks and things of this nature. And then now back in the US, everything is wide open and back to normal. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to have a community, engage with people doing yoga. But guess what? My instructor was 70 years old. I didn't know. This was my first time to this yoga studio. And, I just popped in for a class, and it was so wonderful to see this lady at 70 years of age, fully fit, not 1 ounce of fat, fully fit. She's a petite lady. And if I were to have to compare her to my grandma, who's 86, if my grandma were to lift up her arms, you would see all this like extra skin off of her triceps, right? Off of her arms, off of her upper arms. And, it would flap, and it would, be kind of like chicken wings. And this is my grandma. She's very thin, but she's got a lot of extra skin there. And it's because there's no muscle, right? It's because as you get older, you have more muscle loss, and muscle loss happens every 3 days. It doesn't happen one day to the next, but it does happen incrementally. Every 3 days, you lose a certain percentage of muscle if you don't keep it up. And so in this case, this lady, the yoga instructor, she's 70 years old. She's instructing the class, and everyone is there aged from like 18 to probably 65 and everything in between. But this class was phenomenal. The teacher was energetic. She was profoundly knew her practice and was able to help others in their practice. And on top of it, she exudes the vibrance of what that can look like at 70 years of age. And not to say she doesn't have wrinkles, she does, because that's a part of aging. But at the same time, she's fit. She has balance. She's got posture. She has muscle tone and definition. She is flexible. She was doing the splits right in front of everybody multiple times. She can do a lot of things. And granted, that doesn't happen overnight. She started her trajectory with gymnastics and then moved into yoga and so on and so forth. But, as she gets older, she also has, shoulder pain, and she has, ailments here and there that she was talking about, but she's still in fantastic shape. And so I aspire to be so much better than I am now, tomorrow. But that starts with more steps. That starts with taking small actions on a daily basis so that I can get there, and you can get there too. And what I'm trying to say is that the denial of what we need or what is holding us back will continue to hold us back if we don't overcome it, if we don't acknowledge it, if we don't embrace it, if we don't try it. And many times, even if you're a current program participant or a current student or a past student, understand that if you're not seeing the results that you want, if you're not getting the results that you want, it's because many times we're in denial. Many times we're in denial, and we're not considering the blind spots. We're not considering these other actions that need to be taken into consideration. And, you can't assume that you can just heal with one or two things. I've mentioned this many, many times. It's not just diet. Diet is just one little piece of the puzzle compared to the whole 1,000 piece puzzle. When it comes to healing alopecia, it's 1,000 pieces, and you need to do everything. You really need to do everything. You need to uncover each piece of the puzzle to really see, where we're going wrong. And of course, if we can upgrade those pieces of the puzzles, let's go ahead and do that too. And so denial has held me back. I'll say that. Denial has held me back for many years because I would have healed my alopecia a lot sooner had I not been in denial. And so this is part of the reason why it took me 4 years. A, because I didn't have the blueprint. B, because I didn't have an expert evaluating my 10-page evaluation. C, because I was in denial many times. And I also didn't want to let go. I didn't want to let go. And when you let go, you actually catapult yourself into healing. You catapult yourself into more abundance, into more possibility, into more opportunity for health, regrowth, and hair growth in a quicker manner. This is why we're able to catapult you in the Hair and Heal program in less time. If you do what I say and you follow the program, you will see the results. But if you're just going to pick and choose, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do, a couple of the fun things and that's it. Well, then we're not going to get anywhere. You really got to do it all to see the most amount of results in less time. That's how this works. And it's a beautiful thing because I'll be the first one to admit in my own journey, denial has held me back. And even when I see past participants or past students, they come to me, let's say 6 months later, a year later, they're in shock sometimes of the initial blind spots that I tell them that they have. And then once they realize it, And, because it can be shocking. You're like, what? This is going on? And, once you move head on, grab it by the horns, problem solve it, right? Every problem has a solution. So we give it a solution. You take that route for the extra solution that's needed. And then lo and behold, the last time I saw this client was on our last coaching call. So it was probably about 2-3 weeks ago. And it was her daughter who had alopecia universalis. And now her daughter, when she started with me, she was like 16. And I told her they're blind spots. And once we did that, she came back to me a few months later after doing the program, after the initial, shock, so to speak, did the program. I told her, these are your blind spots. We need to rectify those. She rectified them. She comes back and her daughter has a full head of hair, full bushy eyebrows, long lashes, and, the beautiful dark features that this teenager, because she's 17, has, but didn't have when she first started the program. But this is also, thanks to the parents and the mom who took what I said and ran with it, because that's what's important. You need to run with it, even when you're in denial. I actually have another case of alopecia universalis in a little girl. She was 5 years old at the time I was treating her. Her parents were also in denial. And this is the hard pill to swallow sometimes as a parent. You almost don't want to believe that is the situation, or this is the blind spot. There are blind spots that are super easy to mitigate, and others that take a little longer. Others that, depending on your timeline, may take a little longer or less time. But some you can fix and give it a solution in less than 24 hours. Most in less than 72 hours. In one weekend, you can, give most of these things a solution. And so that's the beauty of it, and there's always a way. There's always a way to make this happen and to make this work. And, for the adult or the parent doing this, denial will keep you back. Denial, in my case, kept me back and held me back for more than, 4 years, when more than likely I could have healed in less time. I could have healed in less than 2 years. But it was that denial that, it was like 1, 2, 3 bits and pieces of denial for certain blind spots that didn't allow me to just take off, because you need to ramp up. It's like when you're in the car and you're pressing the gas, you're on the red light and you're going green. Instead of being able to take off and go from 0 to 60 in less than a minute, now it's taking you like 10 minutes to get you from 0 to 60. You're in that Prius. You're in that, in that really slow car that's not allowing you, or in the VW Bug, right? The Volkswagen Bug from like the 60s and 70s. You're getting there, when really you can be getting there like a Tesla, getting there in less time, automatically, instantly. So this podcast episode is more for my students. For those of you who haven't done the program, keep this in mind. Denial will hold you back. Denial will keep you in maybe analysis paralysis, because it did to me. I say this also from experience. I'm not perfect at all, but at the same time, I've made all the mistakes that all my clients have had. And so this is why I'm able to coach them through it. This is why I'm able to encourage them to move on, so that they can get to see that hair growth. Because you will see the hair growth. You will. It's not about if you will, it's about when, because you will see the hair growth. This is a proven, science-backed, medically sound, diet and lifestyle, holistically natural approach to healing alopecia. It's the only way to heal alopecia. So you will see hair growth, but it's these blind spots that potentially can hold you back. If you don't understand blind spots, I recommend that you revisit episode, I believe it's 3 or 4, where I talk about this, or maybe number 2, where I talk about blind spots. But then the other thing is being in denial, and being in denial keeps you in analysis paralysis, and it doesn't allow you to move forward. So keep that in mind as you're coming into the program, or as you're doing the program, because that's a key component. We can't be stuck in analysis paralysis. We need to move forward towards solution-oriented, problem solving, to giving the solution immediate action, immediate remedy, right? You wouldn't want to wait more time for a solution to your hair loss. Why? Because it can only get worse. And for 99.9% of my clients, it only does get worse. I haven't seen one client where they get alopecia, it got better, and then they came to me. That doesn't happen. They only come to me when it's gotten worse, or it's gotten so bad that they can't handle it. And actually, up until recently, some of them have been very proactive. So let's say they got diagnosed yesterday then they come see me and they just want to do the program and be done with it. They don't want the vicious cycles. They don't want to have any more pain and suffering. They don't want to have to go through the runaround with doctors, gimmicks, medications. So they take a very proactive approach, and even potentially that one bald spot is growing back in, they still want to learn everything they need to learn so that they can just be done with it for the rest of their lives. And that's the key to success, is being very proactive with our health, being proactive with what we want, because we create our future. We create our health. We create the hair growth. We create our health. And it takes small actions on a daily basis in order to do this. And it's very easy to implement, very easy to take care of, very easy to manage, very easy to just incorporate, so that you don't have to worry about hair loss ever again. And you can have your full hair, full eyebrows, full eyelashes for the rest of your life. If you love this podcast, please go ahead and rate and review. We look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions or you want your questions answered, send us an email at hello@alopeciaangel.com. We look forward to speaking to you. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Alopecia Angel podcast, a positive light in healing alopecia. You can do this and we can help. Spread the word that reversing alopecia is possible by telling your friends and family.